Nitro, number 109, also October 13th, 1997.
Jarrett's gone.
Yeah, just gone.
So walked out. Contract expired. Went somewhere else.
Bye. Hollywood Hogan, Eric Bischoff, and Randy Savage in a neck brace came out for a promo. He held up posters for Hogan's latest terrible movie and encouraged people to take them to Raw.
I couldn't even believe on Raw. Here's the thing that's so weird about Raw. For so many years, Vince did not acknowledge the competition at all. Now they've done a 180. This whole promo on Phil Mushnick, I mean, what great promotion for Phil Mushnick.
Yes.
This guy was over the moon. They just talked about him on national television. They plugged TV Guide. They plugged the New York Post. I was like, why are you wasting your time giving this guy that you don't like all of this press? And then Vince and everybody start talking about Hulk Hogan's newest movie. They're plugging that Hogan has a new movie out.
They did do that.
And then, I guess to point out what a bad actor he is, they start making fun of No Holds Barred. And it's like, you fuckers made that movie. Mm-hmm. That's your fault.
Don't point at me when you say that. I had nothing to do with it.
They talk about how much money the movie lost. Like, this is some sort of burial of Hogan. Yeah. It's like, no, it's a burial of you idiots.
You lost your money.
You numbskulls made a bad movie and lost your ass. And now you're using that to bury the other promotion?
So was Assault on Devil's Island just a TV movie, or was it actually...
I think it was a TV movie.
I'm pretty sure it was on TNT or something. So they were mad at Roddy Piper, said Savage's neck injuries were Piper's fault. Hogan ran him down for a while, and they vowed nobody would leave the building until Hogan got his belt back.
God, I wrote Assault on DEV, and it's the first thing that came up. We're going to find out.
Do a review?
Oh, please, no.
I'll bet you anything it's on YouTube.
No, it'd be burned down by now. It'd be taken off. Was it like a Thunder in Paradise offshoot?
Hulk Hogan.
Spinoff?
Hulk Hogan leads an elite Navy SEALs team. Sounds just like the Marine. Chosen for an audacious mission to rescue a group of nationals being held captive by a drug lord's soldiers who want their leaders released. That has to be the plot of every Marine movie.
It's like the Expendables. 1, 2, or 3.
How's Hogan not been in one of those movies yet?
Apparently there was also an Assault on Death Mountain, which also may have...
2 places I'm never going to go to.
It also featured Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan and Shannon Tweed.
Oh.
Gene Simmons's Squeeze.
That's a good word.
It's not...
Okay, so this movie featured...
They finally got married like 30 years later.
Hulk Hogan, Shannon Tweed, and Carl Weathers.
Excellent.
We're all in this movie. It's got to be on YouTube.
I remember as a young lad watching Entertainment Tonight, and Shannon Tweed's younger sister, whose name escapes me, but it's something Tweed, but she was following her older sister's steps and posing for Playboy. And they asked her why, and her response was, I want to be rich and famous, and I don't want to have to work hard for it.
Wow.
Okay.
Honesty.
Yeah. I don't think it worked, but hey, power to you. Psychosis versus Eddie Guerrero.
Okay, I can't find the actual Assault on Devil's Island, but there is the Hindi version. If you want to watch it in Hindi.
What? Why?
I don't.
Well, it's up there.
Huh.
So they announced that they corrected themselves. The Disco Inferno Jacqueline match at Halloween Havoc would not be for the TV title.
So awesome. They're talking about the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Yes.
They've talked to them about this match, and it's been given the okay, but cannot be for this championship.
Eddie had his lowrider theme here, which was so dope. That music rules. So they're doing this match, and Psychosis says, I got an idea. I'm going to lay Eddie Guerrero out down here on the floor. I'm going to climb up to that top rope up there and jump off and do a senton. This was a bad idea. This is a horrible idea, and as soon as he landed, he realized I have made a horrible mistake.
But dude, he was fine.
No.
Well, he was. I mean, he didn't break
he
his ass.
He survived. He's on a wheelchair, but he
didn't
he
separate his bladder from his
he did
urethra.
not tear his urethra like Johnny the Bull.
Or whatever it was.
But he was grabbing his tailbone for the rest of the match.
Yeah, he was quote-unquote selling the rest of the match.
Yes.
And it almost looked like he was going to do the leg drop off the top, and it almost looked like at the last minute he said, nah, I'll just try the senton.
So instead, he tried a top rope splash. His head bounced off the mat in a hilarious manner. And Eddie just hit one superplex and one frog splash and won.
I don't know if I'd use hilarious for his head bouncing off the mat, but...
With the wig, with all the motion of his hair flying all over.
This was a very good match. I very much enjoyed it. I want to mention that when they were talking about Vegas, they actually mentioned Mark Ratner, who used to be the executive director of the NSAC. Now he works for UFC. I remember going to a UFC once, and I was talking to Mark Ratner about wrestling. And he was so happy about these memories of when WCW used to come to Las Vegas. He thought it was so cool. It's like, so weird. But he liked wrestling.
Mike Tenay did another feature on Lucha Libre and the Mexican Luchadors.
It was awesome. Gets better every week.
They go to the mask maker, show what's going on at his shop. Quick interview with Ray Sr. and Ray Jr. Claim the...
And Hijo del Santo, who is wrestling tomorrow.
That's right. Claim the masks were... I wrote descendants, that's the wrong word. But continuing the history of the Aztec warrior masks, they wore into battle. Psychosis, they interviewed 1,000 guys for 4 seconds each. Psychosis says the mask is part of his soul and a great myth. And the guy, he spoke this in Spanish, of course, and the English voiceover guy had zero emotion, which made it all funnier. Ray said losing his mask might end his career.
Foreshadowing.
They go to Tejano, who of course has no mask, and says, Silver King. He says, he has no mask and says, I am too pretty to wear one.
Tejano.
It does. That's why I said it. Why I wrote it. Anyway. Laparca said his mask scared himself. Hijo del Santo has a clip of Eddie Guerrero's hair, says it's the top trophy in his collection. And they go back to Eddie and says, Santo got lucky. Next time we meet, I'm taking his mask.
So at this point, Ray was scheduled to lose his mask. And cooler heads prevailed. And you know what? It was way too early to take off Ray's mask, but they did a hell of a job for a month building it up.
Oh, yeah.
Before they didn't do it.
Yes.
I gotta give him credit for that.
Absolutely. Gene brings Piper out for a promo. He makes fun of the outsiders for crying.
This was a way better Piper promo than usual.
He was
like lucid.
He was very exactly the word I was going to use. Yes. He had points. He made them. He left. He said they would defend the titles tonight or be stripped. And I think he forgot to mention this, but Gene says it will be 6 subbing for Kevin Nash tonight, but they will defend the titles against the Steiners. Nitro girls came out and danced. William Regal versus Steve McMichael. This was something else.
Something else meaning awesome. William Regal. It was so amazing because I thought, let me put myself in William Regal's shoes. What am I going to do with this guy? They did a tackle spot. Grab the headlock. Tackle. That's the whole spot.
Yep.
A good 2 minutes. It was a good 2 minutes to accomplish this task. I'm watching it, and then they go to the arm ringers. I'm thinking, man, Mr. Regal's taking no chances with this big Mongo.
Yep.
And then the finish is a tombstone right on his head. I was like, how did Regal agree to that?
Not just that, Regal trusted him enough to flail his arms and legs as he was upside down.
I remember years ago seeing Fit Finlay do this with The Undertaker. And I thought that tells you right there just how respected Undertaker really is.
Right.
This is Mongo.
Well, you know what? Mongo was a big-ass, strong dude.
That's true.
And he didn't drop him.
Regal's alive.
He pulled it off, so...
This just a mere 6 weeks after Mongo almost tripped and fell.
Yes.
With the tombstone.
Yes.
But the key is, he didn't.
I understand that.
He almost did.
What I like is there are points in this match where Regal would call a spot, and he would then sell the move whether Mongo did it or not.
Oh, yeah.
So he'd say, hit an elbow. Mongo would say, what? And Regal would be on the ground grabbing his head. And they'd lock up and he'd say, do an arm wringer. Mongo would say, what? And Regal would grab his shoulder and collapse screaming. Then they did this tombstone out of nowhere.
Oh, I loved it. I don't care about the rest of you.
So Okerlund then brings out Deborah, who makes the announcement Jeff Jarrett has left WCW. Mongo says, I tried to warn you about that quitter. But as far as I'm concerned, it's time for you to go back to the kitchen.
Back to the kitchen where you can shine. So apparently she's a good cook.
See, that's my first thought. Would you really trust Deborah to make you a meal?
My whole point was, he was saying you should go back to the kitchen like it was an insult, but then he put her over. Maybe she is a great cook.
Or maybe she just does dishes really well.
I guess he didn't specify cooking.
No, he did not.
She promised she had a surprise for Mongo at Halloween Havoc and that the Queen would come out on top.
I can't even remember who it is. I can only imagine.
Yuji Nagata versus Chris Jericho.
This was so much better than the first Yuji Nagata Chris Jericho match they had a couple of months ago, which was horrible.
I love how the crowd, moments in, started chanting USA, USA, Chris Jericho from Manitoba.
True.
He got dropped on his head 15 times in this match.
That exploder.
They were trying to kill each other.
The exploder and Yuji that sent Jericho out of the ring. So Jericho takes out Sonny Ono, and he goes up top, but then Ono trips him. Jericho falls flat in his face, and Yuji finishes him off with the Nagata lock.
We got to talk about this inset promo with Sonny Ono and Yuji Nagata.
Yes.
It was the best. Sonny Ono cuts a promo in English, and then he beckons to his man, Yuji Nagata. And Yuji Nagata shouts something angrily in Japanese. Sonny Ono then shouts something angrily in Japanese, and then they both glare at the camera. I watched it at least 30 times. I laughed harder every single time. It was so great. Why can't we have more of this? Why does everybody have to speak English? Drives me crazy. Let a guy from Mexico come on TV and speak Spanish. Let a fellow from Japan come on TV and cut an angry promo in Japanese. It's the fucking World Wrestling Federation. Or World Wrestling Entertainment. Let people come from all over the world and be themselves. This was the best promo on the show. I couldn't understand a word they said.
Raven did a promo.
Who?
Raven.
Oh, Raven.
He was in a child's bedroom. There was a crib in there and a music box playing. It was
This
dark.
is not Bray Wyatt.
Oh, totally.
Here's exactly my last words on this were, this was very much like a Bray Wyatt promo, except by the end he at least had some point. Most Bray Wyatt promos, he talks for 3 minutes and I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. Raven is dropping some... He's rambling about first memories of abandonment and loneliness and sadness. And a critical juncture, children take a step towards greatness or they're doomed from the beginning. And the last thing he says is he has no control over his own fate, destiny, or actions. And the path is determined for him. So at least this establishes he's going to do something terrible and not take responsibility for it. Fine. I liked it.
Raven's always cut a good promo, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Nah. It was okay.
Bill Goldberg versus Scotty Riggs.
Poor Scotty Riggs.
Goldberg's now had 3 matches, and now they're letting him do stuff.
Yeah, they shouldn't do that.
He almost killed this guy.
There were many almost kills in the streak.
Dude, given how long he's been out of action, this is largely what I expect his match with Brock Lesnar to be like.
Except Brock will say, good.
That's true.
That's how he likes it too.
Brock is a lot bigger than Scotty Riggs.
Word. So Goldberg did have an entrance, and he had his iconic music, at least here on the network edit. I don't know if they put it in or not. Still no pyro. And he showed Raven, Saturn, and Sick Boy in the crowd. I forget if Sick Boy ever actually wrestled or not.
He did.
So Larry and Shivani cut a promo.
Scott Vick.
Yeah. Larry and Shivani cut a promo on Generation X, how lazy they are, and they don't want to take responsibility for anything. Inadvertently putting over the new group on the other show. Let's see. Goldberg learning on the job. Oh, God. Yes, that's right. The moment, I believe the worst moment of this match for young Mr. Riggs. They're on the floor, and Goldberg presses him overhead.
Oh, God.
He goes to drop him on the guardrail. I'm thinking, okay, Scotty will reach out, catch his hands on the guardrail, and kind of go down on his chest. Goldberg dropped him pelvis first across the guardrail. Now, A, that hurts your pelvis badly. B, your head then falls into the ground.
That's true.
All sorts of bad news.
You thought this was worse than the spear.
Spear, well, I've seen 1,000 spears.
That was a really, really bad one.
He did... That was really great for me.
I would take 1,000 spears in the middle of the ring as opposed to being dropped pelvis first.
Yes.
I need my pelvis. I do not want it dropped on a metal guardrail.
So Riggs survived, and Goldberg went to the jackhammer and won. If you watched this and didn't know anything else about Goldberg, and at the time nobody knew anything about Goldberg, you would think, total dick heel. Now, the other thing is, they did not show this, but they mentioned it. Goldberg was not 3-0 at this point, he was 4-0. Because on Saturday night, he had met in combat and defeated Roadblock.
Oh, man.
Me want tape.
I'm sure it's on the internet.
Goldberg in his third match against Roadblock.
You know,
carnage and devastation that will ensue.
Goldberg's coming back to face Brock, and he's doing all these interviews, and I don't know what interview it was, but I got all of these emails and tweets and text messages the other day about some interview that he did, and these people were so angry. I guess Goldberg was doing this interview kind of in character, and he was doing a Roddy Piper, and he was talking about all the fights he had and how he was a fighter. He wasn't talking about being a pro wrestler. And these people were like, God, this guy just acting like he was a fighter and this and that. Clearly, they had not seen this match. This may have been a shoot. No wonder he thought he was a fighter.
The Nitro girls danced.
I like how Vinny adds that every time for historical purposes.
Well, I when they started coming up, I asked, should I mention this every time? And I believe I was told yes. I'll pass over in the future.
Maybe just mention it if, like, a nipple pops out or there's something of note.
Right?
Vinny is
Whisper shows up for the first time.
Vinny is a historian, you see. He's a documentarian. Needs this for posterity.
A documentarian.
Someday,
is that not a word?
No.
someday someone's going to do a study on how frequently the Nitro girls danced on Nitro, and they're going to use these shows as their source. And if I miss one, their information will be faulty.
I guess it is.
Aha!
An expert analyst of historical documents. That's not Vinny.
That's what you mocked me.
Nor is he a photographer specializing in producing a factual record.
Well,
Scott Hall in 6 versus the Steiners.
it's a great match.
I loved this match so much. NWO did a quick promo.
You know why you loved it?
Because all 4 guys are awesome?
Because Scott Steiner was killing 6.
That was the best part. It
Whenever
wasn't the only part. It was the
There
best
is a
part.
giant muscular man destroying a little skinny geek. It's awesome.
6?
That's the problem with MMA today.
Weight
These
divisions?
matches are no more. I need to see Cain Velasquez versus...
Conor McGregor.
Oh, man, the money.
So, yes, 6 was so great as the puny little twerp who found himself in this big boy fight and had to hide behind his big strong buddy all the time. And Rick Steiner and Scott Hall get in there and they're just throwing each other around, and it's awesome. I should add, by the way, Hall's doing his promo before the match, and a piece of garbage hits him right in the mouth. No reaction. Just keeps on going. Badass. So, they eventually get the heat on Rick for a minute or two, and 6 goes for the Bronco Buster. And he leaps high in the air, and he's coming down, again, pelvis first, and Rick Steiner sticks up his boot.
Yeah.
And Rick's boot travels through 6's genitals and perhaps out his mouth. 6 is perched atop his boot, balls first. Just hanging up there in the sky. 6 collapses, as I should have. Steiner tags in. You've never seen a limp body thrown as high in the air.
Oh my God, he backdropped him. The only backdrop I can remember that was close to this was at Survivor Series 1990 with Shawn Michaels and the Warlord. I remember this off the top of my head. He flew so high, he left the screen. I'm not making this up, Craig. You saw this.
I know.
He went out of the screen and then came back down.
So, let's see. They hit 6 with the elevated DDT, but then Hall pulls the ref out of the ring and lays him out.
That is a ridiculously awesome move. The elevated DDT?
Yeah. So Zbyszko comes out to confront Hall. This distracts Hall, and the Steiners cut him off, hit the diving bulldog, get a double pin, and Larry runs in. And you know what Larry did? Larry made a fast count. Because the storyline is he hits the NWO. So the Steiners are the tag team champions. That match ruled. It ended with malarkey and shenanigans, but even up till then, it was tremendous action. And the malarkey and the shenanigans were exactly what made the people happy. So they go to the announcers.
Should we do this together?
Yeah, sure. They're having a grand old time. They are so happy that WCW has finally worked together to get one over on the NWO. And they say, and now for all this celebration and glory, we do have an injury update on Randy Savage. Who cares? And they all laugh and hug. It's the best. This is the best Nitro ever at this point. Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio.
Oh, great.
I don't know what got into Heenan and Shivani this evening. Quite often, these guys did not get along, and it showed in the air. But they were in a great mood. They were cracking each other up, laughing. And then one time, they even spoke over each other, and they both said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you go first." They're the best friends of all time on this show.
Hey, they were finally commentating a show where WCW was winning.
That is true.
Savage got his comeuppance last week. Just saw a tag team title switch. WCW is on the upswing, and everybody's in a jolly mood.
Yes. So the high peak of this match was Ray charges at Dean. Dean presses him over his head. Ray goes flying through the air, lands on his feet on the top rope, and comes back off with a corkscrew dive.
Ray was so good. Dean was so good.
He's a freak.
Have I mentioned these matches are as good as, if not better, than everything in the Cruiserweight Classic?
It's true.
And this was 19 years ago.
Yeah.
The only thing that irritated me about this match was the fans.
Fans were not into it as
They did not care a bit.
Who gives a shit about the
These
fans?
guys were working so
I'm like
hard.
Phil Mushnick here.
So Ray hits the West Coast pop and he has the win, but as he makes the cradle, Eddie Guerrero dives in out of nowhere and yanks his mask off. And Ray has to hit the deck to cover his face. Dean puts him in a...
No. It was so great. Ray's on all fours, and Eddie runs in and yanks the mask, and Ray does the perfect luchador for a split second. He looks straight at the audience, eyes wide, face looking right at him, bare to the world, and then he covers his face. And there's a dude in the front row who has just seen Rey Mysterio's face. Mm-hmm. And he's dumbstruck. And I don't think he moved.
It's a 12-year-old boy.
No, it was a grown-ass man.
I'm talking about Ray.
Oh, Ray, you're right. But he just sat there, and he stared at the ring for the whole post-match. Just like, I cannot believe I have just seen the face of Rey Mysterio. And you know that at the time, all these wrestling fans around the world are pausing their VCRs and trying to move one frame at a time so they can catch a shot of Rey Mysterio's face. It was so great.
I couldn't believe how much hair he had.
Yeah.
Or a mask every night. Get a buzz cut, dude.
Well, he did later.
I guess so. So, yes, Dean immediately put him in the clover leaf, and Ray immediately tapped out. And that was that. But it was great. And Eddie celebrated with Ray's mask in the aisle. DDP does a promo. This was almost a wacky Lucha Underground skit, except he was talking into the camera. Excuse me, talking into the cameras. There was like 18 cameras that are shooting DDP at the power plant talking about Randy Savage.
Man, we actually had some inside footage of the power plant. And all you could hear was iron clanking.
Yes.
Because you see, you had to lift some weights there.
Those high voltage guys made it. We know what they did.
That's right. So he's Paige. This is really good. I thought it went a little long. But he says he's in a no-rules match with Randy Savage, who is a true savage. A psycho. He hates me. So yeah, I'm nervous. That's why I'm back at the power plant to keep focus. The key is, I know all the terrible things Randy Savage can do to me, but I can't let negative thoughts into my head. Because negative breeds negative, and positive breeds positive.
It's like DDP Yoga.
He's positively Paige.
19 years early.
That's right.
Made a career out of it. Good for him.
That's also true.
You know what's funny is so many people laughed at Diamond Dallas Page over the years. And this dude got the last laugh.
Oh, yes.
His positivity paid off. Now he's a legend.
Yes, he is. Roddy Piper came out for another promo. At first, I was annoyed because it had been less than an hour since his last promo. But then he hits the ring. He declares Larry Zbyszko in preparation for his match as the special ref for Scott Hall versus Lex Luger, was granted his referee's license and officially sanctioned as a referee this afternoon. That means he is an officially sanctioned ref. The decision in the tag match will stand. And he turns to the crowd and says, "New champions! Hail the Steiners!"
I'm not sure about the Hail Steiners.
Hail the Steiners!
He repeatedly
This is the
shouted.
way all champions should be greeted this way. Hail the New Day! Hail Dolph Ziggler! That's how it should go. Bischoff and Savage came out. They demanded the world title and tag belts be returned. Piper went to fight. All the B-teamers came out to intimidate him.
I mean, they did have a point about the world title.
It's true.
That was stolen.
It was stolen. So it's Piper on one side of the ring and Norton and Vince and Bagwell on the other. And out comes what is very clearly a fake Sting. And fake Sting gets in the ring. He's 8 inches taller than Roddy Piper. And it was like, "There's Sting!" So fake Sting attacks Piper with a bat. He pulls off the wig of the mask. It is, of course, Hulk Hogan. They beat the holy hell out of Piper forever, and the announcers are begging for somebody to come help him, and no one does. And WCW was a unified force for one segment. 20 minutes later, they've fallen apart again.
But wait.
Yeah, there's more in the main event.
Amigos. Out comes a man in a Sting mask who takes off his wig and mask, and it's Sting.
That's the last segment.
You skipped like 18 things.
Oh, did I? Damn it. Well, anyway, the point is, that was really cool.
We'll get to that.
I did jump ahead a little bit, didn't I?
A little.
It took like an hour.
Oh, well. You know why I bring it up, though?
No.
They did this once in TNA, and I think it was Dave. Somebody was so angry. They thought it was so stupid that a man with face paint and long hair would put on
A mask.
a
and wig.
mask
Right.
over his face paint.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you know what? I thought it was great. When he unmasked
Well, now that we're here.
and he was himself, I was like, that was awesome. We'll get back to it.
Yes.
That was foreshadowing.
No, that was spoiling.
No, come on. This was 19 years ago.
Had a Flair Hennig video package. And it wasn't bad, but I'm watching this thinking, this company's owned by Ted Turner. Literally a media mogul.
Right.
How can your video production crew be so much worse than WWF's?
It never was better.
No.
Ever.
Because it's not the equipment. It's what you do with it, Vinny.
Clearly. But
Yes.
you would think
Write that down.
Clearly.
you would think Ted Turner would I see what you're saying. You would think Ted Turner would hire better people is all.
Dude. WCW?
Well, there's that.
What the fuck are you talking about? Have you not read my book, damn it?
I will admit it has been a while. Scott Norton versus Ray Traylor. You know, for about 30 seconds, this match was a hell of a slobber knocker. And I'm thinking to myself, when I was a young man, I did not give Scott Norton nearly enough credit. And 3 minutes later, I was like, nope, I gave Scott Norton exactly as much credit as he deserved.
Hey, it was fun for a while, but
fun.
then it just kept going. I'm like, this is Scott Norton versus Ray Traylor. This show is extra long.
It certainly was.
Can we just end this and end the show earlier?
Billy Kidman came out to take a seat next to Raven, to which one fan replied, "Billy Kidman, oh my goodness!" So there's choking, there's interference, the crowd's chanting, "Raven sucks." Ray goes after Vincent on the floor, he gets clumped with the spray paint, and Norton wins. And they tag Ray, and the announcer's like, well, nobody's come from the back again. Way to go, WCW, dropping the ball here, geeks. Speaking of things that could have been just cut from the show. Disco Inferno versus Alex Wright.
Really?
Yeah, really.
It wasn't that bad. In fact, I was watching it thinking, this is Alex Wright, whose gimmick is that he has a horrible dance and he's a numbskull. He's facing Disco Inferno, whose gimmick is that he has a horrible dance and he's a numbskull.
Sure.
And then they went in there and they had a professional wrestling match.
It wasn't bad, to be fair.
And it wasn't bad.
I just can't
It
stand
was-
Alex Wright.
It was long.
don't say.
It was
Yeah.
long and boring. It didn't need to be as long and boring as it was.
It was way, way better than that Scott Norton match with Big Bubba.
It's the
Thank you.
battle of the extra bright gear on this match.
Alex hit 500 moves in a row, and he's Alex Wright and not Chris Benoit, so it wasn't very good. Then Disco got one backslide, and Alex hit 500 more moves in a row. Jacqueline came out showing all sorts of boob. She distracted Disco as...
All sorts.
Yeah.
There's one sort.
It's just a saying, dude. There's cleavage, there was side boob.
Vinny, we're
probably
documentarians. I want facts here on this show.
4 minutes ago,
Not
it was not a
sayings.
thing.
So she distracts Disco, and I can't blame him for that one. And Disco comes back, and he tries to do the rolling cradle with a handful of trunks, but he's totally out of position, so he just throws his hand down to that area, and I swear he pinned Alex with a handful of penis.
Wow.
Hey, whatever you got to grab.
I wouldn't kick out either.
Whatever handle works.
I guess so. So Disco leaves before Jacqueline can make another move.
It's a new definition to the pump handle slam.
Apparently, I was doing it wrong. Nitro girls danced. Damn it.
I thought we agreed. No more of this.
Vinny is a documentarian.
All right, I'll skip the Nitro girls in the future. Dallas Page versus Kurt Hennig.
Not as good as last week.
No,
I'm pretty sure that 1997 Kurt Hennig had a good match, and it's gone now. He stalled forever. Then he did chin locks. And there was a sleeper.
Craig fell asleep.
Now, I will say this. They did nothing here, but they put their nothing together so well that when Page made his comeback, which wasn't anything great either, people did get into it. This was getting the absolute most out of the absolute least. I will say that. So Page is making his comeback. Flair appears being held back by security. Page is a schoolboy, and I think Flair was late hitting the ring.
Yep.
So the ref has to count 3, and I claim he didn't count 3. And the bell rings. Flair chases Hennig to the back.
You know, based on how long the show went and what they did afterwards, I think this was how it was supposed to be done.
So they went to commercial with the ref trying to get the belt back from Page.
Say that again. They were already running like 40 minutes behind,
Yeah.
and they went to commercial.
Well, yeah.
Overrun, dude.
Dude.
Get them ratings.
Piper came back with the U.S. belt and the ref. He raised Page's hands over the ref's protest. Out come the NWO. Savage is out there in his neck brace dropping elbows. For the third time in the last hour, the announcers are begging anyone in WCW to come help and lend a hand. Mm-hmm. Anybody. So this beating goes on and on and on and on, and then Sting appears amid the fans up in the stands. And the action stops, and the NWO points at him. And Sting begins to come down the stairs, and then Sting's coming down the stairs from the other side, and then Sting is coming down the stairs from the other side, and now I get what Brian meant when he said amigos, amigos, amigos. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, It is relevant. So now I was trying to figure out the point, because, okay, there's an army of fake Stings, okay? But all these Stings are in the ring and just getting killed. Mm-hmm. Who signed up for Sting duty? What were they getting paid? It wasn't enough. So after seriously a dozen Stings or more show up and get killed, there's another fake Sting in the ring, and Bagwell goes up and punches him, and this fake Sting no-sells it. And the crowd notices, and they realize what's up right away. And fake Sting pulls off his mask and wig, and it's the real Sting, and he drops Buff with a DDT. The NWO panics. Hulk Hogan does the best silent movie run in place in terror. Can't call it a bump, but that's what he was doing. And they all ran away because they were afraid of Sting. And so the show ends with Sting and Piper standing next to each other, and Piper screams, "I'll kill you!" All shows sit down with Roddy Piper screaming, "I'll kill you."
I know one other show that did. But anyway, everybody,
That's true.
that's a show. I liked it. I liked both shows this week. They were very, very historic. And we are on our way to the worst cage match of all time, which is not at Hell in a Cell. It's actually Age in a Cage with Hulk Hogan and Rowdy Roddy Piper. Followed by Hogan and Sting and Montreal. Wow. What a crazy time.
What a time to be alive.
Do not forget Eddie and Ray at Halloween Havoc.
That's right.
That was a better match than
The
Hulk Hogan and Roddy
greatest
Piper.
11-minute match in the history of wrestling.
Quite possibly.
It's coming up.
It wasn't the opener, too. It's like one of the best 2 or 3 openers ever, I think.
I think it might have been the opener.
It's been 20 years, I
remember.
forget for sure, but...
Anyway, it was awesome. I'm going to review it all in this show. And that's it from here. We'll be back on Thursday provided the storm does not wipe out.
That's right.
Another one coming?
Dude, there's
yeah.
3 coming.
Back to back to back.
Yeah.
First I've heard about it.
Hey, will you indulge me for a moment?
Oh, no.
Just give me a minute.
Yes, Craig?
The floor is yours.
I went to a indie wrestling show.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't.
First one I've been
Did
to.
you, Vinny?
I didn't hear about it until I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
It was in Seattle.
We weren't invited.
Not even the Pacific Northwest. It was in Seattle.
But that's okay. Go ahead, Craig.
First indie
I was
show.
busy anyway.
Okay, thank you.
You may indulge.
Thank you. The first indie show I've probably been to in 10 years here in Washington. It's been a minute. I think one of the last maybe shows at the Rim up there in Marysville. Probably one of the last ones.
Be 5 years, but yeah.
Okay, whatever. Rainier Pro Wrestling, it's an offshoot of 321 Battle here in Seattle. And you never heard of these promotions?
3-2-1 battle?
321 Battle.
No.
It's a thing. It's
Vinny
kind
and
of
I know nothing about Washington State wrestling.
321 Battle is kind of a, I wouldn't say freak
I
show
think
wrestling.
I have seen some of this. It's sort of a spoof.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
But
Sounds like all wrestling.
anyway, it went down with Matt, and Uncle Bob was there. Bob says hello.
Hi, Bob.
Hello.
Bob and Congo were there.
That's right.
Congo, I'm going to stooge him off. He forgot his gear in Vancouver.
Dude, can you imagine going to a big show and forgetting your gear?
Well, to be fair, it wasn't a very big show.
Did he have to wear Delirious's swimsuit?
No, he did not. But anyway, Congo knows how to work.
I'm sure he does.
You know who else knows how to work? Bob.
I'm sure he does.
These two put on clinics with these younger guys here in Seattle area. By the way, both the guys who were in the main and semi-main listeners of this show.
Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Wow.
Recognized
321, my favorite organization here.
Rainier Pro.
Rainier Pro as well.
The best action.
Yes. Probably about 70 people there. Buddy showed up. Buddy's students had a tag match. They were really good. Shocking, I know. But apparently, indie wrestling is alive in Seattle, Washington.
That's amazing.
You
I haven't
know,
heard about an indie show in Seattle since like that time they did a lucha show at the Showbox.
Right.
And had the Vianos.
This
Oh, no, not Vianos. Who the hell was it? Conan was there. The Goats. What are their names?
is with the show. Soda. That was at the Showbox Soto.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
talking about Los Chivas?
Yes, thank you.
This joint is about 2 blocks down from El Corazon,
All right.
right in the heart of Seattle. Evolve Fitness.
Okay.
3 groups run out of this place. 321 Battle, a Lucha group, and Rainier Pro.
Well, how about that?
Yeah.
It's very cool. I'm glad you had a good time.
Well, hey, if you want to know more, Matt Farmer was on Wrestling Observer Live a couple of days ago.
That's right.
I believe he also mentioned that show, which I was not invited to. And he also plugged the big Lucha Ilimitado show, which is coming to the Sun Dome in Yakima Wednesday with El Hijo del Santo. Yakima's going to get juicy. Number of other big-time stars as well.
MVP. Rey
Conan,
Sammy Callahan.
Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy.
Rey Mysterio versus Jeff Hardy in the main event.
Yeah, it's crazy. How is Hijo del Santo not in the main event?
I didn't book it.
But anyway, check it out, everybody, at luchailimitado.com, as well as Rainier Pro Wrestling, where they recognize Craig by his sultry tones. Right, Craig?
Either that or my fat face.
Could have been that, too.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't want to say it. All right, everybody, that's it for real this time. We're going to wrap it up. We'll be back on Thursday with more. And that's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Bye.
Good night.